Celebrate like a crackhead.
They like
Mickey T! Reactionary, like Tommy started this game. I don't care. We needed that blood. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? Produced by Palmeiras, you just said it right there. Rest in peace, headphone users. Sorry for your ears right at the top. Exactly. No warning. Probably just perforated your eardrums here on United View. But welcome to the Full View. Good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy end of the week, nearly the beginning of a new week. Big up to Owen, big up to Good Vibes John, who brought loads of good vibes yesterday after a last-second win. Big up to Kenny, who's taken time out of his sunbathing routine today. He said to us to join us, so really appreciate that, Kenny. Big up to Rich, as per usual, and big up to Marcel, man. Wow, what an end, what a climax it was yesterday. The key after this is talking about, is it a turning point? Is there something positive to come from this? So that plus loads more. In today's show. Get involved in the chat, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, get your comments in, and remember, you can become a member as well. If you guys want to become a member, you can do that. Click the member FC. I was a Bayern fan right there. Bloody hell, I was coming in to just be angry at everyone. Wow, it's just fair, honestly. Yeah, members can join if you would like to. Button is in the video description below or just below the video. Let's talk, guys. Let's talk. You know what? Good vibes, John. Good vibes, John. I feel good vibes, John. He's saying, come over here.
Bring it.
He's saying, come take a stop by my place.
Come on.
Have a catch up. Talk to us, John.
I was honestly, when Brentford scored, I had no more tears left to cry. I was just like, there's no way this is continuously happening to Manchester United. And let's get the facts straight. Good vibes, John, whatever. I tell y'all all the time, my vibes are authentic. I don't fake the good vibes. That was not good vibes. Manchester United, for some reason, seemed to be infected with this weird virus of starting games decently, having a decent string of passes, moving through, progressing through the thirds, and then boom, conceding against the run of play. And it's the leaders that are messing up. It's the leaders that are just showing these schoolboy errors. And I'm sitting there thinking, how on God's green earth is this happening? But then when Scott McTominay came on, I got this weird superpower. I was looking at his eyes and I was doing my live stream and I was telling my co-host at the time, I was like, I'm looking at the Majina. I see a goal coming. And boom, he scored. And boom, he scored again. Come on, United. And I was so happy. I couldn't be asked in that moment in time. You could say all this about, let's not celebrate, I couldn't be asked. I was just so excited and relieved because that takes so much pressure off of Manchester United and Erik ten Hag, who honestly, in my view, doesn't deserve to be in this position with respect to the pressure that's mounting on him. And I couldn't be any more relieved. I was just so happy and so relieved. And I think international break comes at a decent time for us, gets us extra time for a lot of these injured players to continue to work on their rehab and recovery and return in time. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this could be the start of something positive for us.
He's muted as well, Flex. Look at him. He's muted. His technical flecknology.
That's not even flecknology. That's just forget-nology. I just forget to press the button. Justin said he actually scored a hat-trick as well, McTominay. Let's not forget that. Cedro says shameless. Yeah, shameless. Owen alluded to before we started going live, Richard Keys, Andy Gray. Well done to Man United winning a title, winning the Champions League against little old Brentford.
Celebration police.
Yeah, celebration police.
Yeah, they're out. They're saying, "Oh, well done for winning your Champions League. Well done for winning the Premier League against Brentford yesterday." Oh, I said it this morning. We should have just golf clapped, guys. Yeah. Thank you very much for the 3 points. No problem. What a load of nonsense. Yes, we did not play very well yesterday. In all due respect, you could argue, did we deserve to win that game? Maybe not. But it doesn't matter. When you score not only a late winner, but when you score both of your goals in stoppage time, the 97th minute winner at Old Trafford, in Fergie time, apropos, given obviously what happened the day prior. I mean, how can you not celebrate that? And, the thumbnail says, is it a turning point? It might be a bit naive to say absolutely it is going to be a turning point because we've seen how we've been playing. And yesterday, as John alluded to, it was much more of the same, very predictable, really. Good 20, a mistake, a goalkeeping error. And then we're huffing and puffing for the majority of the game. And we're thinking, I don't know if this is really going to pay off. And a lot of the senior players that you're looking towards to really help you don't show up, whether it's Onana, whether it's Casemiro, whether it's Bruno, whether it's Rashford. That quartet seem, again, it's very repetitive. But as John's alluded to, like with Eric Ten Hag, sometimes you just need stuff to start going for you. We haven't had a lot go for us this season in certain decisions. And when you don't play well, you can say it papers over the cracks. It does. But when you're really not playing well, you'll take any form of momentum you can get. And that's, 2 late winners against with a player that probably should have been sold in the summer and an assist from a player that probably should have been sold in the summer as well. But you'll take it. And shout out to both of them because it's all fine to criticize them when they don't play well, and we will. But when they do play well and they do contribute, they deserve the praise as well. So Harry Maguire did excellently yesterday. Scott McTominay did excellently when he came on as well.
Yeah, I agree. He did do very well. And sometimes you just need that little bit of catalyst. You need something. Well, that wasn't lucky because we made that happen. It wasn't like, went in off somebody. We made that happen. We scored 2 legitimate goals, not by luck, just by perseverance and just keep going. But sometimes you need that, like the 95% of that game, 98% of that game, we wasn't good enough. And the 2% just, wow, can you take something from that? Kenny, we can't read too much into that though, can we? I mean, or can we?
Yeah,
actually?
we can.
We can. Can we?
Yeah, because I was at the ground on Tuesday night against Galatasaray. Been at the ground most of the home games. And the vibe around the ground has not been good. We know it hasn't. And it's been targeted at certain players, rightly or wrongly. Sadly, I think Marcus Rashford is becoming the new Paul Pogba, where all of a sudden people are hating. And it's sad. It saddens me. It really does sadden me because he's a good lad. He's a Manchester lad. We all love him to bits, so we want him to do well. But unfortunately for him, it ain't going too well. And yesterday, I was in the Lanzarote full of Man United fans, and you thought we'd won the Champions League. You thought we'd won the Champions League. No, you had. It absolutely erupted. And
so it's like in the stadium, mate.
Relief. Yeah, the feeling was incredible. And I put on our group chat. I've just witnessed another Mark Robins moment. And for those of you, only my generation will know that in 1989, in his third or fourth season, Sir Alex Ferguson had finished second, 11th. We'd lost 5 or 6 games on the trot. City beat us 5-1, and we went to Nottingham Forest in the third round of the FA Cup. And every newspaper, the Manchester Evening News, were reporting that if he hadn't won that night, he was out of a job. Mark Robins, in the 93rd minute, scored the winner. We went on to win the FA Cup that year. 25 years later, 13 Premier Leagues and a ruck of trophies and a treble. So you're telling me we're going to win the Premier League? No, what I'm saying is momentum, and things happen for a reason, right? If we'd have lost yesterday, do not think that we as a club are not under a great deal of pressure, and our manager isn't. Because if you were you're 6th from bottom in September, October, right? All the others are galloping away from you. Then as a global brand, because we're not a football club, we're a global brand that relies on algorithms, etc., and believe me, there would have been a lot of pressure over the newspapers this morning would have been full of it. Absolutely full of it.
Not just the newspaper, for the whole 2 weeks until we play Sheffield United, it would have been horrendous.
Exactly. So I will put my marker down there that I think that game yesterday could go down as Ten Hag's Mark Robins moment.
Wow. Big statement that, Kenny. Yeah. I like the way you broke it down. I like the way you, obviously, for a lot of the younger viewers, Not a lot of us was
Exactly.
born in 1989. Or even
Exactly,
here in
and
1989.
there was no social media. There was no social media. So imagine if there had been social media. He wouldn't have got 4 years. Ferguson wouldn't have got 4 years.
No,
Back
no
then,
chance.
he'd,
Yeah,
have,
no
he'd
chance.
have been gone in his second year because
Yeah.
Mourinho, Van Gaal, Holly or whatever, 2 years, 2.5 years, you're gone. But Manchester United, as much as we love Eric Ten Hag, we want him to compete. No matter, we want him to win. We want him to be ultra successful because we've had a decade of depression, right? Then it's a fact. It's a fact. The people at the club, the Glazers, they don't look. They look at what money can we make, and if they think that our club is going to be worth 10 billion, right, in 3 or 4 years' time, it ain't going to be worth 10 billion if you're languishing in the bottom half of the Premier League. That's a fact.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Agreed. Rich, let's start getting into because I think to talk about that a little bit later, but I just wanted to move the conversation on a little bit because some people saying in the chat, let's talk about some of the individuals. I think tonight it's kind of a mixture of positive because obviously we won in the last minute. Like nobody's disputing that. But I think it's important that we have an inquest into still what's going on in the side and what we can maybe change coming out of it into the international break to even avoid being in that same position that we were pretty much in for most of yesterday's game. Let's start with Casemiro, the curious case of Casemiro. Obviously, we're going to talk Bruno, we're going to talk Rashford, we're going to talk Onana. We're not just going to, go in on one player.
That's right.
But Casemiro at the minute, what's happening here? What's happening?
It's a weird one because we last season we and even till now we all love Casemiro. We have, we were missing that 6 for a very long time. We wanted a DM, a specialist DM, and Casemiro came in and became the answer to the DM position. But for some reason, and to be fair, even last season, I think DJ said it last in the match review, or maybe KG, he was doing this last season at times. There was the mantra that people were saying he loves giving the ball away just so they can go back and win it. And he was doing that kind of giving the ball away consistently. And, it just causes the team a problem because we need to have the ball and we need to be able to keep the ball and not keep having these turnovers. And Casemiro, unfortunately, is causing a lot of turnovers and he's not winning it back this time. For the goal yesterday, it was such a lazy pass, completely lazy pass from our own corner in our own half. Free kick in our own half. Passes it to the opposition player, goes steaming in, trying to win it back, doesn't win it back. Before you know it, it's a goal to the other team. Obviously, Lindelof also had something to say about that. Onana also had some blame to take. But I think Casemiro really now, Kenny's there talking about, is it a turning point? We're asking the question. It has to be a turning point. There's no question about it. It just has to be. And the only way that's gonna happen is, I think,
you guys has
to learn. He's got to fight with a fly. Ten Hag has to learn. He has to learn from this, or otherwise. I was saying on the match view as well yesterday. At 90 minutes, 92 minutes, I was saying it. We all love Ten Hag, but it could get to the stage where his position is untenable. Like you're looking at it thinking, no matter what you want to happen, you want him to stay, but it could get to the stage. 3 games lost back to in a row. That would have been yesterday if we'd lost that game. Old Trafford is no longer a fortress. We would have lost. Probably 2-3 games at Old Trafford, also in very quick succession. So it has to be turned around, and you don't want it to get to the stage where his position becomes untenable and they kind of have to sack him, even though, like we keep saying, we actually don't have the capacity to sack him. We can't pay him off. We don't have the money to do that either. So it was just nice that we won that game. But like I was saying, back to Casemiro, Ten Hag has to take this as an opportunity to now say, you know what, I might have to drop this guy for a little bit. I think the only question about it now, though, is because obviously there's this 2-week break with the international break coming. If the next game was on Tuesday now, definitely I see Rashford or Casemiro getting dropped. But because there's a bit of a longer break, they might come back a bit better. They might pick up a little bit of form in international break. You might see them come back in again. But I actually think he needs to, I love Casemiro and, no question about that, but he's not playing well right now. So it has to send a message to the rest of the team and say, you know what, maybe Maino will be back after the international break. Mejbri's been doing all right. Amrabat looked excellent in that 6th position. So I say drop Casemiro for now and bring Amrabat in, or rotation, call it rotation, whatever you want to call it.
Rotate him out. DM Vlog says, lads going good. Big up to you, DM Vlogs. And Zayn Miassi is here after Arsenal's epic title win in the last minute of the game.
Of course he is.
At the Emirates. And he says, come on, you Gunners. That's how you play. Well, he didn't play very well. He played all right. Still unbeaten. Invincibles Part 2. Yes, well done. Invincibles.
Welcome to Old Trafford.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Invincibles Part 2. There you go. You showed them. I did tip Arsenal to win. I don't know. A lot of Arsenal fans were crying before the game. Oh, we're not going to be able to beat them. Oh, there's no Saka. There's no this. I'm like, City ain't that good right now. Have a go. The Emirates is be rocking, and they didn't even have that much of a go. It was quite a crap game, but just do something. That City just looked like they just wanted to just pack up and go in for a 0-0. Rico Lewis sent a mid, mate. Kovacic. I mean, how he didn't get sent off as well. Like, I just fancied Arsenal to do it. So all them Arsenal fans, not you, Zane, no, to be fair, but all them Arsenal fans who were just crying before the game how you can't beat City, there you go. You've broken your hoodoo. Back your team. Believe. Do you know what I mean? Believe, mate. Believe. As Josh says there, come to our dressing room. Exactly. There was another couple of super chats there as well. M. Sati says, I said it on this show last year. McTominay is a striker. At best, attacker midfielder. Was an academy striker. Whether he starts or not, he needs to be in the box when on. That's an interesting point. Like, he's not gassing it up and just saying, let's drop Rasmus Hojlund and play McTominay. But when he's on, he needs to be in the box. Is that what we're saying here? It's a fair shout. Yeah, fair shout. We'll talk about that. And Marlon says, play well, you deserve game time, or it's Sancho vibes. Be ruthless. Marcel, you said yesterday that you think Casemiro should leave. Wow. Obviously, in reflection, it wasn't me, by the way. A lot of people thought I said that, but that was just Josh being a disgrace and a cheat, put the wrong title on the wrong video, and everyone started attacking me. By the way,
a lot of heat for that one.
A lot of heat. Josh,
Marcel's used to it though; he can take it.
Marcel's like, I'll take the heat. You know what I mean? If you actually watch the video, I didn't say anything of a sort, but Josh stitched me up with a boo-boo and put that title on my video, and everyone came for my neck. Yeah, there he is there, popping in the chat. You're an absolute disgrace. You're a cheat. But you did say it though, Marcel. You did say it.
Yeah.
You've had chance to calm down. We all say things in the moment. We're outside the game, outside the ground. Sorry. Do you still stand by that?
Yeah, leave is a big. We need him for the season. We need him for the season. But,
immediate backtrack.
Nah. It's a calm. It's a gentle one because at the end of the season we might have to look into it. We might need to look into it because Kobe would have a lot more games under his belt. And you're looking at maybe Kobe and Amrabat, and you're thinking, okay, legs and maybe a little bit more ball security. And like what Ten Hag was mentioning, football. Because, with Casemiro there, it's just the way he's playing hot potato right now. It's not making any sense. And then he's just so lethargic on the turn. He doesn't want to play on the half turn. It's back to goal. And then he's not even getting off the half turn, off back to goal into the half term shape quickly. And then he's just playing lethargic passes, no care. It's really, really bad at the moment. And I feel like you got to play him into the box as well because his chance creation is where he's shining right now. The clever little passes for assists, goals, he's got that side of the game. So he's another player that just doesn't want to do the hard work, the diligent hard work, the backtracking, chasing runners, going, recover it back into recovery shape. He's just no good at it. But I'm still believing in Ten Hag right now. So he's got a lot of problems to deal with. And at the end of the day, if Casemiro has to play, he has to play. I think I also said that it's a blessing that he had the red card. I can't remember if I said it to you on our way back, Flex, but it's a blessing that he gets the red card because maybe we get to see Amrabat in the 6 for a little while now. You have to play Amrabat, I think, in there. And
he was in the 6 yesterday, weren't he? He was in the 6 yesterday.
Yeah, but I mean, for the Champions League,
Okay.
For me, Brentford, we should have won that game, and we played shocking the whole game. It was really, really bad. Scott really got us out of jail there, and it was a passionate, it was a passion merchants kind of game. You had to throw everything at it. Somebody that was hungry, desperate to play, scores the 2 goals, and I'm happy for him. But he shouldn't be at the club. If I'm absolutely honest, he shouldn't be at the club. Maguire shouldn't be at the club. Donny van der Beek shouldn't be at the club. So. There's a whole other issue there that my manager has to deal with. And then he's got the Onana situation, which Keegan, if he's mentioned now, I'm happy to talk about. But at the end of the day...
Talk about it, Marcel.
At the end of the day...
Perfect segue. Bring it up.
Yeah,
I love it.
At the end of the day, we got to admit it, guys. De Gea was making howlers like this too.
That's right.
Was it to this level and this consistent? No, it definitely wasn't. Onana, does he have an issue with the wrists, flimsy wrist? Yes, it's really, really poor because that shot at Brentford, he should have saved. It looked like he covered it with his hand as well. It was underneath. It was like it's really, he's got huge technical basics, fundamentals as a goalkeeper. But we let's be serious now. The passing ability in the defensive and midfield third is the best. It's the best. It's the best. We all know it's coming. It's just he's not comfortable.
I was going to say, because have we seen it though yet? That's the point people are pointing
out.
Actually,
to be fair, in that game, we have
against Arsenal. We forced them into the mid block, so we can get into the midfield.
But we
lines.
Lost.
It was of course, yeah.
And he made a mistake in that game. He should have saved the third one.
Results and performance are two separate things, and I think Ten Hag's been showing you that. He's been saying, look, the result is this, but the performance was that. And it's not been fair right now in terms of how we've been playing. And that's the truth, I'll be honest with you. And that's why we're saying it's a turning point, because for the first time, we've shown that mental toughness. It was Scott that's brought it to us, but we showed it. We had adversity in this game. We had issues in this game. And boy, oh boy, we come in with a victory at the end of the day. So we've shown that step forward in terms of the mental toughness that Flex was talking about at Arsenal. Because again, we should have been able to get through that game if we were stronger mentally. And we were just, we had some leaders, some courage. But we haven't shown that. But then in this game, 2 weeks off, hopefully they're all positive about everything. But, we have to kind of just keep working and get through these tough periods.
A lot yesterday, Marcel. This is my worry with him, is that, don't get me wrong, we all knew there was going to be a sacrifice, didn't we? We all knew, look, we're going to concede probably goals that maybe De Gea wouldn't concede. He's not as good a shot stopper, fine. But it's going to be an overall net positive because our build-up play is going to be so much better. His distribution is going to be so much better. And I don't disagree that the first few games of the season, you saw passes in the game which you went, oh my God, we haven't seen that. That's unbelievable. Or giving it back to the goalkeeper. It was an extra option that maybe wasn't there for the defenders. But for instance, yesterday, I mean, unless this was just a tactic by Ten Hag, he went long a lot, more often than he has done previously. And in fact, there was one point where he went short to Johnny Evans, I think, and he underhit the pass. And Johnny Evans nearly got caught out by it too. Yeah. And I don't know, it's almost to the point now, because he's been making these errors so consistently, the strong part of his game, his distribution, is now taking the hit as well. Like, he just looks like a bag of nerves at this point.
Yeah. Just like Raya today, funny enough, a bag of nerves. So, we're in a situation where a goalkeeper's lost his confidence. It's evident. And instead of us, all throwing the pitchforks at him, we've got to support him right now, and he speaks confidently in the media as well. So we know he wants to do well for the club. This is not deliberate mistakes. It's technical faults in his game. Somebody needs to be working on with that. And we've got to judge.
Sounds very De Gea-ish, by the way, there, Marcel. It's not deliberate mistakes. It's technical faults in his game. That literally could be lifted and put on David De Gea last season.
Yeah, and that's correct. But think about the trajectory and where we want to go in the culture of our game. It's more the net positive for the distribution side of the game. Do you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, Ten Hag was making David De Gea was making huge mistakes in the strongest part of his game. And he didn't, and he was inadequate in the part of in the direction that we're trying to go in, which is to the technical side. So we know Onana's lack of confidence right now, but we have to back him. Again, I spoke on a full few months ago saying Onana wasn't my choice, and you all said, at the end of the show. Remember, I said it.
It was Dubravka.
So I said Diogo Costa. Originally, I said Diogo Costa that I wanted, but I'm still backing this because this is a this is going in the right direction. Every single decision Ten Hag has made has been football first, and this was a football first decision. All players must be able to attack, and all players must be able to defend. He's poor in that side of the game right now, but we've got to back him. So
can I just add to what Marcel was saying? I just want to add to what Marcel was saying, because he's been spot on with everything. I've been backing Onana, and a lot of the comments have been very critical of the fact that, you can't compare David De Gea and Onana because David De Gea came at 19. Onana came when he was 27. He played in the Champions League final. People need to understand that right now it's not technical aspects are obviously one of the main concerns, but it's not just a technical aspect. You look at players like Casemiro, you look at players like Marcus Rashford, not just Onana. This team right now, the major problem is confidence and a lack of a mental resolute strength that's lacking clearly. And Onana, maybe he's just washing off the passes. What am I trying to act like you guys? He's trying to wash off the passes here and there. But the point of the matter is the problems might be different, but the problems at the end of the day, problems that can be addressed, at least with respect to Onana. Personally, I think it's a mental confidence block. Like people say, you can't compare. Like, for example, when David De Gea first joined, I remember when he was in a 1v1 situation with somebody and like he couldn't even close his legs. And I remember Gary Neville, one of his first Sky Sports, he came out and he was absolutely shredding De Gea, saying like, I don't care if you're 19, whatever, you got to know how to shape your body as a goalkeeper, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's a problem, but that's a problem nonetheless. They both have different sets of issues that can be, at least from an honest perspective, can be addressed with respect to mental things. Like when I was 16, I weighed like 22 stone. I had a crush on this gal. She absolutely said, she said straight up to me, I'm sorry, John, I don't like fat guys. That shit broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I swear on everything, I thought my life I was like, yo, this sucks absolutely. Like, I can't live life like this. No, it crushed me and my confidence was done. But looking back at it now, I'm like, damn, it was nothing. You know what I mean? Like different problems, different mental blocks. At the end of the day, it can be addressed as long as we build that rhythm, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I think part of the issue as well, though, is Onana. We haven't had a settled defense. He's like, I think people like. I'm one of them. I've criticized him heavily as well, but we haven't had a settled defense. We need a settled defense in front of him. We need a confident team in front of him, and it's only fair to give him a fair run of the games, and just let him build it into it. I think KG's fed up with him right now. KG's done with him, but we will build back into this. Also, John, the reason you're trying to change your accent, I saw an article saying that the New York accent is the number one least attractive accent in the world.
What? I'm gonna tell you right now. You know what? That's called cap. That's cap. These motherfuckers have never been to Baltimore. They've never been to Philly. They've never been to Chicago. How the hell they out here talking about New York City? New York City till I die. Ain't nobody talking about New York City accent. Get that shit out of here. Flex knows he was out here in New York City. Come on now, put some respect on New York City.
I like the New York accent actually. New York accent's actually is nice. I don't see that as one of the accents that's probably like one of them. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
I know what they're talking about.
Can I on the Onana thing? I know.
Yeah, Flex. What do you think? What do you think? Because you've been very strong with your opinions recently. In fact, after the Galatasaray mistake, there was. I mean, it's in the reaction. You said he's not it. He's not it. I think you were on the sort of KG similar trajectory with him. Yeah. How are you feeling a day removed?
Yeah, it's like the reflection. Excuse the pun. That you have to do, like after when you calm down a bit. So, like my Marcel said, obviously, think you should leave. You calm down one day. Was I being a bit hasty? In that moment, obviously, I'm extremely angry. My emotions are high. I'm in the stadium, and it's hard. Half the time, I forget Josh is even getting them reactions. I'm not holding the phone. I'm looking at the game. Half the time, I want to smack the phone out of Josh's hand, to be honest. And I was just like, that was just what came to me. That was unequivocally in the moment what came to me. He ain't it. He's not it. That's what came to me. And you guys have seen, me back him. You've seen me, try to encourage him as well. But also, I'm not, afraid to call out what I'm seeing at the moment. And
call it air.
Like Rick, call it air. And Rich was, I can't wait to watch League Judges tonight, by the way. But Rich was saying there about obviously he needs a more settled defense in front of him. I do agree. He needs a whole settled team. Everyone needs a settled team, but the mistakes he's been making, like they're solely on him. Like, I don't care how unsettled the defense is. If somebody takes a P-roller from the edge of the box, that is your job. Like, that is not the defender did this or why did you let him shoot from there? If I'm a centre-back and he said, why did you let him shoot from there? Because you're a professional goalkeeper, mate, and he ain't scoring. He should not be scoring from there. I will replay that 10 times over. Instead of trying to make a tackle and foul, I'd let anyone shoot from there because I should have faith that ain't going to go in. Do you know what I mean? Unless they pick out a peach of a wonderful left foot or whatever into the far corner and no one can do anything about it. So I see it's a little bit of everything, but clearly his confidence, I think Onana is a very confident guy, very eccentric guy, big character. He's got big characteristics about him, big confidence. And I do think he's going home after every game or he's in training or he's in the games and he's going, bloody hell, this is different. This is eating me up here because he is so nervous. Like never have I felt that with every sort of opportunity that the ball goes within his vicinity, I am scared. I am really, really, really scared. And on top of that, I think like his technique of just how he saves the ball and how
he's unconvincing.
I just think there's always going to be these types of things.
He's dramatic in the saves he makes.
Like someone like Daniel says, their basic goalkeeping skills aren't there. Like I just think his fundamentals aren't clean. So say we try to look at the equivalent of him as like a central midfielder or a striker or an outfield player. You'd say, oh well, he's effective, he makes good runs and that, but he's just not clean. Like he doesn't do things clean, doesn't receive the ball nice, doesn't have a nice touch, but he'll get the ball in the back of the net in the end, or he'll get the pass out to the wing or whatever. But it isn't pretty on the eye. It's not like watching Zidane or David Silva or Paul Scholes. It's like watching bloody
Lukaku.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good example. You know what I mean? Like a Darwin Núñez is bossing off people's legs, but he might do all right in the end. So I think once the team is a lot more secure, a lot more confident, and he's a lot more confident, I don't think we'll see as many as what we're seeing. These are like straight up, oh my God, play Tom Heaton. That's where it's at now. It's that bad. But I do see when people say, listen, he's brought him in. It's the first 10 games in all comps. You just got to stick at it. But they can't. I said it after the Palace one, to be honest. But they can't be, not Palace, sorry, Galatasaray. There can't be too many more of these, if any. Like, because there has to be a point, because the goalkeeper, which is why you feel for them. But Owen, you're in the goalkeepers union. You know what it's like. That is a lonely position to play. If you make a mistake on that line, you're done. Like, it usually ends up in a goal or giving away a penalty or some shit like that. So if he keeps doing that, unfortunately, I would look at just even to help him, just take him out for a bit. But I get it. He's our number one and we've made our bed, so we got to lie in it. But I can't take any much more of that. I can't.
It's perfect storm as well, because you've got a team that's low on confidence. And Ten Hag even said it in his press conference, we don't react well to events in games, whether they're positive, negative, or in the middle. So if we score, we don't react well because we concede straight after. If we concede, we don't react well because then we start giving the ball away or we concede another one. If something doesn't go our way, a free kick, a VAR decision, a red card, we don't react well. And we've had a couple of times this season. Yes, there was an example, I think, to Bayern Munich. We played away in the Champions League. Good 20-minute start. And then what happens? A mistake from the goalkeeper, and it kind of puts us on the back foot. And we're not that team like a City, like an Arsenal, like a Liverpool, which is in already a few times this season, whereby you can go 1-0 down, you can go behind, or a mistake can happen, but they'll bounce back. It's fine. They'll keep going. They'll keep the everything, as Ten Hag says, they'll stick to the principles, stick to the rules. We're not like that. And as I mentioned, when you've got a goalkeeper that's making mistakes, and then you've got a team that's a bag of nerves and doesn't react well to stuff, that leads to defeats, ultimately. I think that if he's got a settled defense in front of him, it will help, because we'll control the game better coming out from the back. But then again, yesterday, ironically, when that team news came out, everyone looked at the back four and went, terrible, awful. Probably the best group of players was our back four yesterday. They were the only ones that we were looking at going, actually, they did all right. Good for them, So I don't know.
Definitely centre-backs anyway.
Yeah, the centre-backs did fine. Or for instance, I saw people say yesterday, with the goal, people will point to Casemiro giving it away and Lindelof's error in terms of clearing it. And that's true. It's not always just one thing with a goal, but that doesn't excuse Onana not saving that. Because
the keeper, you expect to bail you out in that situation. You'd expect him to be like, okay, cool, bad shot, keeper bail you out. And they used to do that.
Because let's be real, Brentford should not have scored yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
I know they scored that, and then after that, we hardly did anything until the end. So you could say, oh, yeah, maybe they deserve to win. But essentially, that should never go in. Like they should, they should not have scored. And then the other two he saved in the second half, he should save them as well. I know they look acrobatic. But again, if they go in, you're going, how's Neil Maupay scoring from there? Straight down your throat, tip it over the bar. So every save he had to make yesterday, even though he didn't make the first one, they were all saves, easy bread and butter, meat and drink saves. So Brentford shouldn't even really have scored yesterday. So again, that's what keeps happening in these fine margin games where we keep throwing it away, which we looked like we nearly was going to do again yesterday until McTominay had other ideas. Kenny, you was going to come in there. I saw you with your hand up.
Yeah. What you got to remember, gentlemen, the whole is greater than any one part. And we can all point the finger at several players, not just today, not just yesterday or the day before, or for the all season. But we're 35 minutes into the stream and we haven't mentioned the real positive. The real positive is young Hojlund. Now, what we've said, right, on any good team, you always have a strong span. At the beginning of the year, we thought we had a very good goalkeeper. We thought we had Varane and Martinez, Casemiro, Bruno, and young Hojlund. On paper, that is an excellent spine, right? And we thought we was going to go. Now, from the point of view of individuals not playing, and we're talking about a turning point in the season, he's got to address the issue of an earner. He's got to address the issue of Casemiro. He's got to address the issue of Rashford and the right-hand side and his number 10, right? And the main thing he's got to address, I witnessed on Tuesday night the birth of a potential legend at 20 years of age at Manchester United. Young Hojlund is outstanding. When you watch him, his pace, his ability to turn, his drive, his passion, that lad's got the makings. And I said it to a lot of people, and Paul Scholes had picked up on it, and I said it. I haven't seen a player like Ireland at Old Trafford since I last saw Ruud van Nistelrooy, because he's that build, he has that stature, and he has that drive, and he wants to score goals. So when we're talking about turning points, and your Casemiros, who will one day go, and probably within 12, 18 months, if you're looking at other players as well, in and around that middle, Eriksen's probably got another 12 months. He should be getting them in that dressing room and saying to him, see that young man there? We structure our game to get him in the box and give him chances, because that lad will score you goals. He's proven it. That young lad is an outstanding talent. And if we waste that, then if that young man goes to Real Madrid in 18 months for 200 million, then good luck to him, right? Because we can give him the career he wants at Old Trafford, because he loves the club. But unless you sort your Casemiros, your Hernanas, your Rashford's out or whatever, that young man will be picking up scraps every week, and he doesn't deserve it. He's an outstanding talent, that lad, and that is the one positive I have about this squad, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't think anyone agrees. Disagrees with how good Hojlund's looked. I don't know. Obviously, you don't want to over put pressure on him too much, because he's still got a long way to go. But I look at a kid, like you said, who already is like being starved of proper service, consistent service.
Yes.
Still finding his feet. But he's, that first 3 minutes against Galatasaray, he went straight past Bowie. Crossed it to Bruno. Bruno probably should have scored, or at least got a shot on target. The goal that he does score goes from halfway line. That has a lot to do. Lovely little composed finish. Fox in the box. Yeah, he does look good.
Goal.
His offside goal, sorts his feet out.
Yeah, brilliant.
He definitely does. I mean, again, I don't want to be reactionary, but in the moment, I was saying, finally, we've got a proper 9. We have an actual 9.
We've all said it.
We've all said it. Yeah, so I do agree. That is a positive. I want to talk about some of the other players, the fringe, the main players, who are not pulling their weight. We did, because I don't want it to just be Casemiro that we're digging out. Because Kenny is right. And we will talk about other positives as well, actually. I know a lot of people have spoken about Amrabat and his planning going forward and what he's going to look like. Let's just do the Bruno Rashford thing. Let's just open the floor to talk about it. I mean, Owen looks like he wants to turn the stream off. Who do we? Good vibes, John. Give me some good vibes about Bruno and Rashford, please.
Shoot, I was hoping you'd go somewhere else first. Well, look, let's lay out the facts here first, right? I don't think anybody sits here and says that Bruno and Marcus Rashford are having a great season. I think it's absolutely just really frustrating to see how their form and how we perceive them to be fantastic, wonderful footballers, how much they've declined in these past few months. And I don't think it's as simple as us sitting here and saying, oh, it's because of this is because of that. But if we're looking at it from a sort of big picture perspective, I just think it's going to take a bit of time. In one of my videos, I said that Manchester United look disjointed right now. I said that, man's trying to shake his bunda, but he's actually just shaking his head like this. Like it just looks completely all over the place. Like we're trying to touch our right shoulder, but instead we're touching our left cheek. Like we're all over the place. We don't know what's going on. And with respect to Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes in particular, they have to understand, from my perspective, that they have to adapt their game. Lots of people saying that Rashford's quality is blah, blah, blah. He's a fantastic footballer. Same for Bruno Fernandes. But seasons prior to Manchester United, if we're looking at it from going forward, we had our number 9 was a defensive number 10 in Wout Weghorst. Marcus Rashford was probably given license by Erik ten Hag to say, here, express your freedom, express your football. When you're playing the forward-most man, when you're getting the opportunities to be given a one-on-one, when you're given that license, you obviously play a specific style. And that's what you were good at, and that's what you believe to be good at because you scored a hell of a lot of goals. And then all of a sudden, now we have somebody like Rasmus Hojlund. Flex, I'm with you. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid, but you know how much I fucking love the guy. He's looking like a proper out-and-out 9. And now, instead of playing a 4-2-3-1 setup, maybe on paper it might still look like 4-2-3-1. Now we're looking at it as if Rasmus and Marcus are sort of the 2 forward-most players who we can pick on an outlet or on a ball or whatever it is. And Marcus in particular needs to sort of adapt to his game a little bit, reinvent his game, if you will. Same could be said for Bruno. I don't know if Mason Mount was brought in to be the player next to Bruno. Hell, I personally think, I said this in one of my streams, I think maybe low-key, Mason Mount could be potentially the guy in the next few years to replace Bruno. We have no idea what the exact thing looks like at this moment in time. But Bruno, at this point, is going to play with Mason Mount in some capacity. He's not going to be given the freedom license to roam and be the maestro and run around all over the place. He also needs to reinvent a little bit of his game. And I think that Marcus and Bruno, they're going to need a little bit of time to reinvent their game and understand that, okay, their game needs to change if they still want to get the best. Like Marcus back in the day, he'll get the ball, he'll take somebody on, drop the shoulder, boom, bam. Nowadays, with Rasmus there's a lot more defenders on him constantly. He's not going to get that space. Now he needs to maybe keep things a little bit more simple. Look for the simple pass, cut back, drop it, pull the pass backwards, hit first time on the cross, something needs to change. And I think once those 2 reinvent themselves, we're going to see them coming back.
Yeah.
Marcel?
Perfect. Good vibes. John said it on point there. I mean, I think Bruno's had a bit of a hard time because he's been shifted to the right, to the middle. His game, he's not getting a good run of games. And then in terms of the partnership between Mount and Bruno, they've only played 2 games together, properly. And then Mount's just come back from injury. So we have seen good spells when Mason Mount is able to go on the left attacking mid space and play in that half space. But that's usually Bruno's area. So now we're seeing Bruno come over to the right attacking mid space, and he's playing okay, but now he's in the right midfield. And, Bruno's had a lot of movement. Rashford is the one that I'm really worried about. It looks like he's back in that phase. I think it was, under Ralph and the Ole season where he just looks like he's not here. He's not. He's got the shirt on. The number 10's on his back. The shirt that is so profound to this club, but he's just not here. There's nobody there on the pitch. Running into blind daddies still. It's really, really sad to see him play like this just after the big contract that we've given him, and we expect him to raise the level this season or to replicate it. But there's people that think that he's a purple patch player, so he could come up with 10, 15 goals in 8 games, 20 goals in 10, 11 games coming up to around the January period. But we just have to keep believing in what he can bring to the team. It was a really good point though. Mount has got legs, man, and we missed those legs in that 10 space, running lost causes, pressing high when Rashford don't want to do it. Mason Mount's trying to replicate it, but it's a different kind of style. We was playing a little bit more false 9 last season, with Marcel, wow. So we had and a bit of a target man system as well, whereas Hojlund always wants to break lines. So there's a lot more for them to work out this season. I do think Rashford's time's running out. I don't know how we even get rid of him. So I don't know how that works
now.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how that works out. But
do you want him to leave as well? Did you mean to say that?
Yeah.
No. I'm just saying. It just looks like he's got maybe 2 seasons left. He's got 2 seasons left, is what I'm saying. And then and funny enough, we're talking about creativity. It's Mason Mount that's really giving the creativity to Hojlund. Bruno's not really doing it, and Sancho actually could make he just needs to change his attitude. I don't know. He needs to mature, and he could really quick and fast. Haaland, Sancho at Dortmund. It could be Hojlund and Sancho here, and he just needs to change. I don't know what it is, but someone needs to get into him because
What's encouraging at least is that you're hearing that Marcus and Hojlund are trying to build a partnership. They're working off the pitch. They're trying to build. So that is encouraging. But I think for Marcus, he does need to. The mentality needs to shift. Like he needs to, because he clearly is a confidence player. He looks like he's shot of confidence right now, and he needs a goal or an assist or something that, you know, a good action basically, or a few good actions to make him think, yes, I'm back here.
Got an assist on Tuesday, Rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So I don't know what he just
should have got another one.
Something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Then missed assist.
So, I really don't know.
Or should have scored. Yeah, either or.
Because he is the confidence player though, but you can see that he doesn't have that confidence right now, even with those, like, you know, those actions that we're talking about. So, and I think it's a mentality thing. I think it needs to shift from, okay, if I'm the main man, then I feel good. But right now, you don't need to be the main man. Like John said, like Marcel said, Hojlund is there. If you become the feeder and you feed Hojlund, we'll all be happy. Like we won't, you know, we're not going to complain. No one's going to be on his back. If he's making sure he's providing the service, you know, and not doing the kind of greedy things that people say he does, or, you know, running into blind alleys and running into 5 players when he should just do the basic things, then I think he'll hopefully start using that as the, you know, the juice into the battery for his battery, rather than I need to be scoring 3 goals a game and, you know, be the guy that's putting this team over the line. Because I feel like that's what he wants right now. I feel like he wants to be the guy that gets the winning goal every game, and he's not. He doesn't need to be that. He does not need to be that.
K-Flow says a calm Marcel is a wise Marcel. Big up. And I don't even know what a calm Marcel is, or I haven't seen that. I don't know. Or wise Marcel. I certainly haven't seen that before.
Yeah, wise.
What's one of them? What's one of them? Calm maybe, but a wise, I don't know. Masumni says a goalkeeper is only as good as his defense. And Keegan says goalkeeper's job is to save the ball out of the net. Ten Hag, he literally is bloody getting it out the net every time. Andy H says, I love what Bruno has brought us, but when I look at other captains like Odegaard, who uplifts, guides, and talks the team through, I just think, what if? And Daniel says that Rashford does have the talent, but wrong mentality, which makes his celebration kind of ironic. Bruno has been done for a while now. Slow, can't carry the ball, and just wants to do Hollywood passes. Get rid. So Daniel making it very clear how he feels about Bruno. I think with Rashi, I think it's weird because I think we got to the point with him where at the minute, I'm more annoyed at him not doing the basics right than I am a lack of goals and a lack of assists, because people wouldn't be, because he's got a couple of assists really, but it hasn't made us feel like he's doing any better.
Scored a goal against Arsenal.
Scored a goal against Arsenal.
Yeah,
I would much, and a really good goal against Arsenal. I would much, like he did last year, I would much rather him be giving me a base rate of the non-negotiables than just waiting for a moment, because I think we've put too much on Rashi where it's just moments. Like there's, you know, I didn't even need a clip to show me it, because I remember the minute of the game that this was and what happened. And I remember the ball was up in the air and he went to just control it and he just gave it to them yesterday. And they went on a counter-attack and there was just, again, no willingness. I remember saying to the guy next to me, I was like, has anyone, because you know when you think you're the only person that's seen something because hardly anyone says it. And I go, did you guys just see that? The ball was just up in the air and Rashford just takes an awful touch and just doesn't even try to get. And I just funny that I saw it floating around on Twitter today. And you don't, I think Owen said it before, you kind of think, I don't want to have an agenda here. So you want to check in with other people because you feel like you're just like homing in on one player. But it's because we want him to do so much better and he's playing so bad in terms of his basic play. And like we see, Eric Ten Hag knows, man, he's taking them off earlier and earlier in these games. And I said it, he just doesn't want to attack him fully and just not start him and drop him. But by taking it, what's next? Take him off at halftime. Then after that, what? Don't start him. That's the only thing left, really. Because no manager really makes changes in the 60th minute is kind of like the earliest you make changes. Really, unless you're really
unless you're Mourinho.
Yeah, unless you're Jose.
Unless you're performing like Casemiro.
And then Casemiro. That's what I mean. Unless there's a catastrophe where someone's got to get hooked at halftime, or you've just spoken to them in the dressing room and you see them give away 2 bad passes and you go, you know what? It's the 50th minute, get off. Usually the 60th is like where you go, right, I'm going to use my bench.
This changes.
And it's almost like Ten Hag couldn't wait to get to the 60th minute. Like,
it was hilarious. Is the on the commentary yesterday? The commentary was trying to suggest that the stadium would be in an outroar. They went, I don't know what the reaction is going to be at Old Trafford when they take Rashford off. They're going to boo, and then everyone cheered. And again, and it's not like I don't know if it's necessarily a piling in on Marcus Rashford, as you mentioned, Flex. The thing that bugs me with him at the moment isn't necessarily the bad passes or the run into blind alleys, because you go, well, at least there's an endeavor to try and do something when you're doing that. It's the reaction afterwards. It's the poor touch and giving it away, and then it's the jog or or even the fake jog, the jog that looks like a jog but actually it's a walk, or it's the throwing the hands up or walking around your head down. And I think it's kind of similar with Rashford and Bruno in that they're two quite individualistic players, and it's not even a knock against them. But Erik ten Hag, his system relies on collaboration. It relies on the team. It relies on every single person doing their individual job. Oh, that's on the ball, but that's also off the ball as well. And I think that, last season, as John pointed out, I think maybe because we didn't really have a striker, Rashford's the focal point, realistically, from an attacking point of view. You can do what you want. You've got a free reign. Get the goals for us. We need goals. Now, once he's in a team with a bit more, ideally a bit more structure, in that your job is to also service the striker, but also once you've lost the ball or once we're not in possession, you've got to get back, support your fullback. You've got to tuck in, help the midfield too. He doesn't do that. Like, he just doesn't. And then it feels like sometimes you're defending with a lesser man. Bruno, I've seen him the last few games, and it's such a big bugbear of him getting into good positions, good opportunities. I get it on the right-hand side, not totally comfortable, but he, I don't know, takes a shot against Galatasaray, hits it over the bar. Yesterday, he's in a decent position to cross it. It goes into the side netting. And then he starts shouting at his teammates like they've done something wrong. He starts going like, "What are you doing?" You're going, "Bruno, like, what are you? You did that, and you're the
players
captain."
won't like that as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
you're the
dressing room.
captain.
How do you think they actually feel deep down when that happens?
Yeah, and it's that's a problem. And I think that, again, Ten Hag at the moment, he's a stubborn man anyway. He doesn't like to, he doesn't like to almost admit that he's wrong on certain instances. And it would be one thing if it was one player. If it was just Marcus Rashford in this team, he could drop Marcus Rashford out of it, and he'd be like, "Okay, I'll drop him to the bench." When it's like Rashford, the player that was your star player last season, your star player last season, you just given him a new contract. Bruno, who you've just given the captaincy to, you stripped the old guy, right decision, but you've given it to Bruno, makes it very difficult to drop. Your goalkeeper, you bought him. You decided not to keep De Gea, bought your goalkeeper as well. Casemiro, that was one of your signings last season, and he's very experienced. He has to almost pick his battles. He has to go, right, I can maybe drop Casemiro out. I can take Rashford off at 60. I can't take Bruno out. I can't not start Bruno Fernandes, my captain. I can't not start my goalkeeper. And he has to kind of pick those battles. And it's difficult because we're also not getting results at the same time. So he's got this really weird and difficult balancing act to do, Ten Hag. And I think he picks his battles, and I think that's Rashford probably the primary one.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is our three shining lights from last season, Casemiro, Rashford, and Bruno, aren't shining anymore. And that's a massive dilemma. You can have one not shining, the other two playing well, but when you've got all three, and that will be the making or the breaking of him as a coach, without a doubt, because we're all screaming for other players to come in or whatever. And yesterday, and I'm not defending Rashford, not by no way, but under normal circumstances, for the last two seasons, he has Shaw on the left-hand side, right? Or Malacia, natural left-footed backs, what run up and down. Yesterday was a big improvement when it took Mount off. They brought Anthony on. All of a sudden, Dalot and Anthony, they have that relationship. So you can see the relationship between a winger and a right back, and you can see how they overlap. You have no overlap on the left-hand side with Rashford. So I'm not defending Rashford. But what I'm saying is the balance is completely wrong. Ten Hag's to blame. What he's trying to do is shoehorning two players he wants to see play, and that's Bruno, who is not a winger, and it's putting Mount in, then as a winger, and then moving Bruno. We always look better, and we've looked better the last two games when Mount's come off. And I'm not saying that Mount's played bad, he hasn't. But what it's done, it's moved Bruno to his natural position in the centre. He's more naturally thingy. We've then got a winger coming on who can track back or whatever. So the balance is wrong. And I don't think we're going to see much of a change because, as you've already said, it can't be seen to drop all three of them. So he's flicking a coin at half time and thinking, one more little history lesson. right? Our most successful team, we had 4 forwards, right? And everybody knew the Cole and York started the game. At half time or at 60 minutes, if we weren't winning that game, they were off and Sheringham and Solskjaer were on. And it was you're off, get off. And I'm changing the game. And until we have that attitude of we turn around and say, Rasha, it ain't happening, get off. Right, young Palestri, get on, or Canacho or Marcel. And there should be that understanding. There's an understanding in the crowd that at 60 minutes, we all know that Eriksen's coming off. We all know he is, right? Why can't it not be the same for our forward line? That if you're not scoring goals, I've got another forward line sat here on the bench, you're coming on. Yeah. Or vice versa. Start the young lads. And if it's not working at half time, bring the Rashfords on, bring the Brunos on. Until he does that, we have that mentality as a club. What we can't be doing, we can't be protecting individuals because of the name and what they've done in the past. You can't do it.
Guys, what do we think about Mason Mount? Actually, John, I'll start with you. There's about 5 or 6 minutes left of the show, but Kenny touched on, he's not saying he's a bad player, but when he comes off, we've looked a bit better because, wingers are on and Bruno goes back to his position. On Mason Mount then going forward, because how do you see it then? Because, this is a big signing for Ten Hag. It's apparently his priority signing, 55 million, first one through the door this summer. What does it look like after the international break? Does he have to keep continuing to play for you, or is it a matter of just, keep swapping people in and out?
I think for now, once Antony gets to full fitness, I think Erik ten Hag will drop him. I think Erik ten Hag prefers a bit of the width, and I think he also prefers the defensive capabilities that Antony brings to the squad. That's not because Mount's playing better. If it was up to me, if I was John Shin Hag or something, I would play Mason Mount over Bruno Fernandes at this moment in time.
If you was John Shin Hag.
You know what I mean? Like
John Shin Hag.
Whatever it is.
That is brilliant.
Yeah, I would play Mason Mount in the 10 just to give it a shot and not play these players while they're I would say it all the time. It's a double-edged sword. If the players don't look like they're playing well, if the confidence is shot, if they perform and they get that reignition of the spark, then great. But if they continue to play poorly, it's a free falling just straight down the cliff. And I just feel like that's the case right now with some of the players. Erik ten Hag, that's his decision as a manager. He's going to take it. I personally think there's a slight hunch that I feel like I think Mason Mount was signed for the long term. I think Erik ten Hag was looking a little bit for the long term. I think he's looking for that next neat number 10 to potentially compete and challenge Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, don't get me wrong, I love him to bits, but everybody's known that I've never been a big fan of him, and it took me a long time to get around to loving Bruno because I'm never a big fan of players that moan 24/7. I think moaning is part of the game. I think Owen touched on it before, but when you fuck up and you start shitting on other players, you know what I'm saying? That's a problem in my view, personally speaking. And I was always for the fact that I preferred Casemiro to be the captain. I'm not mad at Bruno being the captain. Nonetheless, I mean, that's a conversation for another day. But there's a hunch that I feel like Mason Mount was brought in for the long term rather than just for this season. And I think people right now, there's just all this problems surrounding Manchester United. Everybody just looking at pointing fingers. You're going to be the false star. You're going to be the problem. You're going to be the fix. Like, we need the answer now because we're all just absolutely in the shitters. But at the end of the day, I think Mason Mount is, in my view, for the long term.
I think Mount has to play.
I'm with you.
I'll be honest. I think he has to be in the midfield. I think he's a tempo setter. I think he plays the game in the right way. I think he looks after the ball. I think could be an example to the rest. And it depends on this identity crisis that we've got, because you look at Bruno and you look at Mason Mount, they couldn't be any more opposite with how they play football, just as a player, what their attributes are, what their key points are versus their strengths versus their weaknesses. They couldn't be more opposite. And I want more players in midfield who are calm, who keep the ball, who don't necessarily need to get big numbers, but they keep doing the right things. Even if the chips go down, even if the beginning of the game, the middle of the game, the end of the game, you get more of a continuum. I'm not saying maybe that can't be alongside maybe Bruno, because obviously Bruno's a star player, but I personally wouldn't be dropping Mount anytime soon. I wouldn't personally.
John Shin Hag wouldn't, yeah.
Owen, would you because obviously Anthony's back, so you're then saying, what's he going to do with Casemiro if he's just dropped him just the other day? However, it was 2 weeks ago. Does he keep him out? Does he bring in Eriksen? He always keeps going to Eriksen quite quickly. Again, looking for. He said, "I want more football."
Football, yeah.
So if you're saying, I know the balance is off, but if you're saying Eriksen, Mount, Amrabat or whatever, footballers. Is that something he's going to look to do? How do you see the Mount thing?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I think that Mason Mount's actually shut quite a few people up in the last couple of weeks, despite United not getting results. He was a player that, and I saw it just from pre-season. He would do a couple of passes in pre-season. I say he's rubbish. He's rubbish. I don't know why we spent the money on him. I don't know why we did that. And you go, it's pre-season. He hasn't even played full competitive 90 minutes. And then it was pointed out too that actually he played 2 games at the start of the season and got injured and was out for however many weeks. So he hadn't played a ton of actual games. So he hadn't really settled in at all. And now we've seen him come back from the injury. And in a time in which we've not been playing well, he's been one of our better players. And we talk about Hojlund being a positive and a bit of a shining light. I think Mason Mount's one of the few people that's actually been trying to find him. He's been trying his best to link up with Rasmus Hojlund for the offside goal. I think it came from Mason Mount giving the ball to Hojlund, and also Marcus Rashford. Yeah. That's why I pushed back on what Ten Hag was saying in the press conferences about Rashford, saying, well, it's about the team also getting Rashford into positions for him to succeed, getting the ball to Rashford. Because I said, well, Eric, people are doing it. Watch Mason Mount. He's trying to link up to him as much as possible. So I think Mount, I mentioned part of the problem with Rashford and Bruno is that they're quite individualistic players in a team that requires a lot of collaboration. You look at Mason Mount, he's the epitome of collaboration in that team. He knits together things really, really well, particularly going forward. And as you mentioned, Flex, it might be that actually Mason Mount's a player that's more suited to a coach like Eric Ten Hag, and that, yes, he might, as you mentioned, not get the numbers on the board like Bruno did when he first came in to Old Trafford, first came into Manchester United. But for what Ten Hag wants, he's actually better at knitting things together. But then, as Kenny says, part of the problem is Bruno, because he's the captain, he's got this status of, well, he's probably going to play. He's probably going to play. And if Bruno plays, it's not to say that Bruno and Mount can't play together, but he finds himself in this position again, Ten Hag, where he starts sort of going, I need to get this player in the team, even though they're probably not going to be in their best position. And there's only certain games you can get away with that, And at the moment, when your team's not full of confidence, sometimes you really can't get away with that. But I think Mount, if you're going to say at the moment this season who's played better, Mason Mount or Bruno Fernandes, I think everyone around the panel would go Mason Mount's been better than Bruno Fernandes this season.
And he's been injured for quite a bit of it and hasn't been amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And he's been injured. But if you also then went around the panel and said who's going to start in the 10, is it going to be Bruno or is it going to be Mason Mount? Everyone would say Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I don't think Eric Ten Hag's going to move away from that. Actually, yes, Aminor says, Flex, I said Martinelli is better than Rashi. Facts. He's having Martinelli over Rashford all day. Aminor is. Jalapeno too says Mount is and has always been a good player. Fellas, I'm not going to lie. It's the end of the show.
Flown by.
Like a good show. Like that. Yeah, we got into a lot of topics there and could easily do another hour. But it's Sunday. Everyone got things to do. Thank you for giving up your time to be with us here at United View. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the new, subscribe to the channel. Big up to Good Vibes. I'll subscribe to the new show, the new channel, the new what?
Subscribe to the new if you channel.
Yeah. Good Vibes, John, bringing them vibes. Been on top form today. I think highlight of the show is talking about obviously his previous experiences with being let down by the girl. I hope she's watching this now and looking at you now. Yeah,
she's married.
What now?
I went to her wedding last week.
You did it. That would be funny if you did. Big up to Kenny. You can get back on the old sun lounger now, Kenny. Thanks for taking time out to be with us. Big up to Rich coming through as per usual. Always a pleasure, my guy. And big up to Marcel as per usual, and big up to Owen. We will be live tomorrow morning view settings. Beginning of the international break. We'll see what the papers and the tabloids have to say now. Yeah. Delete all your drafts. Man United are back. We're not back. We are not back at all. And I think my closing statement of, is this a turnaround? Is this a turning point? I ain't saying anything to turning point until I see some real evidence. I'm not. Yesterday was good to win in that way. I was jumping up and down. People behind me, in front of me, on the side. I picked them up. Yep, euphoria, great. But we can't kid ourselves, man. We got a lot to do. So hopefully it is a turning point. Anyway, guys, take care. We'll see you tomorrow morning live at 9 a.m. latest. Yeah. 9 p.m. Owen, you up for it?
Yeah, definitely.